Okay, so it's been a while. It has been a while. Real life happened. However, I am ready. I'm ready to start recording again. Um, so This is gonna be a basic character controller for Unreal Engine 5.4. Not much has changed. I haven't really changed my method since I last uploaded. However, this is gonna be an unedited, completely raw video um, of basically how to set up a basic character controller from scratch. However, I'm using this is Kubold's Movement Anim Set Pro, and this is a really cool 3D model that I just bought off the marketplace for $40 today. And this is the Paragon Blueprint. We always use the Paragon Blueprint as a reference for the animation. For the animation blueprint, I just use the basic logic because you just don't have to switch it up. There's no reason to write it from scratch when you could just copy and paste. So give me 1 second, and I'll drag on everything that I used or everything that I'm using for this current video. There's going to be a lot of silences and long breaks because this really is completely raw and unedited. So, all right. So this is the model I'm going to be using. I like this. This looks really cool. This 3D scan store, they seem like professionals. This seems like an actual professional website. So this is the model that I'm going to use. These are the animations. I own all of these. However, I'm just going to use this one. Movement Anim Set Pro. And this is the Paragon blueprint that I copied off of this one. I'm going to use this animation blueprint logic to copy off of. And as you can see, this is completely blank. This is a completely brand new project. So I'm doing this completely like straight off my head. So if you start a brand new project, you could follow along very easily. I'm not going to edit it. I'm not going to, I want to make it very easy to follow along. If you're brand new, you could even copy it. Even though you might not understand what I'm doing, but this could be a good like resource tool for free that you don't have to pay for. So if you start a brand new project, you're gonna start with the female mannequin for some reason. You could change it to a man if you want, and it's really easy to do. You just go to details, select the player. Well, all right. Normally you would go to details, but in this case you have to go to world settings, default pawn class. And this is going to be your default pawn. And a pawn in Unreal Engine is just a movable blueprint. If that makes sense. It's a blueprint with movable logic. So it could be a helicopter, a tank, a deer, an alligator, a human. Anything that moves, basically. Or anything that attacks either. Also. So it could be like a turret as well. Or it could be like a wrench that has logic. But if it's a wrench, I would make that an actor. So this is the basic setup. They're using the enhance input. They're using the enhance input system as a way to set up characters and everything. I'm sorry if I keep stuttering. I haven't recorded a video in a while. But they're using the enhance input node system to start off. This is their movement. This is how you jump. And I'm basically just going to copy this. I'm not going to change this at all. So this is the basic third person character. I'm just going to rename it. I'm going to call it my character. Or I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Bane. Because the character that I'm using looks like Bane. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the model that I showed earlier. I'm not going to use the rigs. Not yet, actually. Maybe later. Right. This is a mesh for some reason. I don't know why this is a static mesh. Pose, skin. There we go. So you want to use the skin version. So I'm going to change the mesh. To this model that I bought off the marketplace for $40 earlier. Now, you don't really have to copy exactly what I'm doing. If you don't have all these pieces... I'm sorry, it's loading. Give me a second. If you don't have all these pieces, then you would just normally just use this one basic mesh, and then you would go from there. So if you want to fast forward, you can. But for this exact video, I'm going to add on all these skeletal meshes. And as you can see, it already... Unreal Engine, they must have changed something because it's already using this animation blueprint. I guess because it already has a rig. I guess this model comes with the rig. Yeah, it does. It comes with a rig already. It comes with a rig. So that's why it can copy this animation blueprint. However, I'm still going to use the new... God, this guy looks sick. I'm still going to use the Movement Atom Set Pro just to showcase what I know and just how to, you know, manipulate your character so that you can make your character look like how you want it to look. But yo, this guy looks sick. Yeah, he looks sick. All right. So back to meshes, skinned, and I'm just going to add on all these pieces. So, and I'm going to make the mesh the parent, and these are going to be children. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one, shift, and then go down, and then I'm going to just add every single piece that I selected. Skeletal mesh, multiple assets. There we go, perfect. You know, it's so funny, normally back in the older days, if you did that, this would be a child of that, and then it would be a child of that. But I guess they fixed that to make it more user-friendly. So as you can see, these pieces, they're not connected to the character. So what you want to do is, during the construction skip, you want to grab this out. Set leader pose component. This is the new pose component, and the target is going to be the children of the mesh. Okay, so you're going to select all these, shift, and drag them out here. Then one by one connect it to the target. There we go. Compile, save. And now all his pieces are selected. This is a high quality asset. Look at that. It even comes with a rifle. It even comes with a rifle. Yeah, this is very high quality. So we're going to use our own animation blueprint. But for now, I'm just going to showcase what I did. So here we go. Yeah, this is high quality. Damn. This is high quality. As you can see on the top left, I see a texture streaming pool over 6.02 millibyte budget. A way to fix that is to use command prompt and alter the streaming pool. So our streaming pool size, and just change it to 8,000. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how high that can go. I always just set it to 8,000. And then I use soft object references to load in other meshes or actors into the world as the player gradually moves around the world, so that the computer doesn't overheat. But I think you could set it up to like 30,000. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure. But I set it to 8,000. And as you can see, it's gone, right? So it's already using the Manny blueprint. This is a really high quality asset. This guy, the publisher, the developer, the creator of this asset is, or the team that behind this asset, they're like professionals. And I'm gonna showcase it one more time. The asset that I'm using. Right here. This is a really good asset. It looks like Bane from Batman. He looks great. If you get a Rococo suit, a motion capture suit for around $4,000, if you finance it, I think it's like $80 a month. If you have decent credit, then you could act this guy out. You can make him do things. You could because he's wearing a mask. You don't even have to animate the mouth, so you don't need like the facial capture. You just need the body capture, and then you could have like AI have like a deep voice, and then he could sound like Bane, or you can create your own story, your own character. Like a guerrilla warfare character. He's like in a jungle, and he's trying to get his daughter back or something like that, or he's getting revenge on somebody, or I don't know. Who knows? One thing I noticed, however, is that the character, the model, the sniper rifle model, has a wooden sniper, and this sniper doesn't look wooden. But this is the texture that came with it. This is the material that came with it. So I'm just gonna click this. No, that didn't work. It looks like the textures are off. The materials are off. I'm not sure why that is, but there we go. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna reverse everything back to. I'm gonna reload everything. There we go. Reload. Yep. Huh. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure what's going on at all, actually. These textures seem funny, but yeah, these textures seem off. The pants look okay. So do the gloves, but the shirt looks off. The sniper is definitely off. I'm not sure what's happening with the sniper. The pants look okay. The gloves look alright. Look at the wrists. We'll fix that later in the IK rig. The mask looks good. His face looks good. The sniper still looks funny. I'm not sure why. I am not sure why the sniper looks like that. I don't want to spend too much time on it either. But I do like the asset. I don't know. I'm gonna message the guy and ask him about this. I'll let him know. I'll show him like a screenshot of what's going on. Alright, actually here. So this is the preview. This is what it's supposed to look like. Yeah. No, that's what the sniper's supposed to look like. I don't know. It looks weird. I'm gonna take a screenshot and I'll show it to the creator. Yeah. I'm gonna email him what's going on. But this character looks great. Absolutely great. Okay. Alright. Okay. Right, so we're gonna create our own animation blueprint. Let's set this to none for now. There we go. It's loading. There we go. File save all. And then I'm gonna drag out the character, Bane. And I'm gonna put the character here so I can easily reference the character. Another way to reference characters, or to reference anything that is connected to his reference viewer. So this is the third person game mode, which is calling the character blueprint via right here, via default pawn class. And then this is the blueprint. This is what it's connected to, all the skinned assets that we got from that folder. And this is the in-hand and input system that's also being referenced, i.e. look, IA move. IA stands for in-hand action, I think, or something like that. And this is I think the base logic or something like that. I can open it up and show you actually. Alright, well, browse to asset. Close. Yeah, this is where you set all your mappings. So instead of setting your mappings here like you used to do, you would just set it there. And this is actually a better system because you can just migrate asset actions. You could just migrate this to another project, so you don't have to redo everything. This is like a lazy person's dream because you basically don't have to do a lot of work. You just let your work do the work for you. You let your logic do the work for you. So if you're lazy, you're gonna love this. And it's a lot easier as well because then you could just easily transfer, data from one project to another project. Because why rewrite it if you don't have to? Okay. Alright. So I have the character, the logic's working. It looks great. The textures seem a little bit off, but this character looks so good. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to content. These are the imported folders. All three of these are imported. That's why they're a different color. I'm gonna go to input. Not actions. The mappings. I'm gonna add one more. I could just duplicate it, or I could start from scratch. Where is it? There we go. Input action. Aim. IA. Aim. Zoom in. There we go. So it's not going to be a bool. It's not going to be... Is it going to be a float? Or is it going to be? I don't know. I have to see what jump is. It is going to be a bool, actually. It's going to be a bool. Press and release, yeah. It's going to be a bool. Press, release. And this is cool because now you could hold and release, or hold or down. I'm just going to copy... or tap. I'm just going to copy what they did here. Alright, then I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to add the mapping. Aim. Zoom in, zoom out. Go down. Wow. I'm going to select this, right mouse button. That's it. Press and release. So So when I press it, it's going to zoom in. When I release it, it's going to zoom out. I'm going to go back to this character. And this is where you call it in the beginning of the begin play. So whenever this character gets spawned into the world, begin play, via begin play, whenever the player or the actor gets spawned into the world, you immediately cast to the player controller and you add this mapping context. There we go. IMC default. All right. So zoom, there we go. Enhance input. I'm gonna copy jump wherever jump is. Jump's right here. Started, completed. Right, so we're gonna set up 2 custom events. I'll add a new graph. So, custom event. This is where you would. This is just a custom event. Literally, it's just a custom event. It's just a custom execution. So you can call this whenever you want to, wherever you want. You just have to reference the character blueprint. You just have to reference this character, Bane. And then you could call it from anywhere. Right, so zoom in. Zoom out. Then I'm going to use a timeline. Camera zoom. Reverse it. And then I'm going to set an alpha, set a track, call it alpha. This is normalized. Alpha is always normalized, which means it goes between 0 and 1 only. Time 1. Right. Press these 2 together. And the value is going to be 0, 0, and value 1. Sorry about that. So the value is 1, and the value here is 0 because it's normalized. You press these to get these dots both on the same screen. For this value, this is how long you want it to zoom in. So if you wanted to zoom in from 0 to 1, you would put 5 or... Alright, wait, I'm sorry. The time is how long you want it to go from 0 to 1. So you could have it go from 0 to 1 for 20 seconds, or you could have it go from 0 to 1 for like 1 second. It depends how long you want it to last for. So for this situation, or for my current situation, I'm just going to put 0.75. That's usually a good zoom in speed. And then I'm going to curve it. Auto, which makes it a nice curve. I could showcase that, but what's the point? And this is where you would affect the time as well. So the length has to be the same time as the second point. So the length should be the same time as the second point. The length is how long the curve lasts for. So even though I set the second point to 0.75, if I wanted to set if I set the length to 4 seconds, watch what happens. So first I'm going to, before I check that, first I'm going to get the camera boom and a follow camera. This is a spring arm basically. This is what connects. This is attached to the capsule. This is basically a scene component with a red line attached to it. I'm not sure how best to explain it, but that's how I'm gonna explain it. And the follow camera is the thing that attaches to the end of it, right? So even though I just moved the camera, if I reset this, it's gonna go right back to where that location is. I'm not sure if I explained that the best way, but that's how I'm going to explain it for now. Use pawn control rotation. That's already selected on. If you turn that off, the mouse won't move the character. And then enable camera lag. I love camera lag personally. And I always use the same default 8 and 6. You can play around with these to figure out what they do. Right. So I think the length is good, 400. But I'm going to change the socket offset so that there's a nice little socket offset to 45. And I'm going to change this to 90. And that just makes it over the shoulder. And what I always recommend is that in the begin play, always use a sequence so that you can just add stuff easily. So even if this code doesn't cast or whatever, it'll still execute this and then that and then that and then this. But what I always recommend is you get these values so that even if you manipulate this later, you don't have to change it in this code. So camera boom, just get target arm width. And also get socket offset. And then promote these to variables. And I'm gonna call it default. I'll call it default socket offset. And then to make it neat, I'm just gonna make this a macro. I'm gonna call it set default camera parameters. And a parameter is all of these. These are parameters. This whole little column of things, these are called parameters. Right? Yeah. Okay. And to make it neat, because I like neat, neat's always good. I'm just gonna put this in a camera category. Camera. It's good to keep it neat because then you can easily find things and easily clean things up as you progress and, you know, add more logic to your whatever you're doing. It's easy to add more logic. Okay. So, custom event, zoom in, zoom out. Or this could be zoom out, zoom in. Depends on what you want to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this camera boom. And I'm going to set target. So before I was getting it, I was just getting the data. Now I'm going to set it. Set socket offset. So I'm setting it before I was getting it. Now I'm setting it. This is update. This is not when it's finished. Because if you wait until it's finished, like before, like I mentioned, you would have to wait 4 seconds. So this is going to be based off of update. And I think update is basically per tick. And this is when it's completed. So per tick, this is per tick. This is completed whenever the timeline is completed. I'm referencing the camera boom, which I'm getting from here. I'm dragging this out. And then the alpha, this doesn't go in here, believe it or not. I have to lerp it. And a lerp is just in a linear interpolation. It's basically, it's just a curve, to be honest. It's just a curve. And the alpha is the value of the curve. It's how long the curve is or what type of curve it is, the alpha. And the curve is the timeline itself. It's this thing. So I'm not going to show the length. You could play with that if you want to. But the length, especially for certain things like this, something like this, you would want it to basically copy, to mirror the time. But it depends on what you're doing, you know, like you just have to play with it and have fun with it. Just keep playing with the values. So the default, which is A, is going to be here. So even if I change this default, I don't have to alter it here. I could just change it here. And because I already set this as a variable, it's going to automatically update the variable. And then I could also create another variable if I wanted to, updated, which I'm going to do actually. I'm going to call it updated. Updated target arm length. Or I could call it manipulated. But in this situation, yeah, I'll call it manipulated just to make it more clear exactly what's going on. And then I'm just going to duplicate this and call it manipulated socket offset. There we go. I'm I'm gonna put in the camera category. I'm actually gonna create a subsection of this, call it camera boom or spring arm. Then I'm gonna move all these to the spring subsection. And that's just the subsection button or key, whatever you want to call it, is shift and the button above the enter key. That creates a subsection under these things so you can keep it nice and clean. Alright. So right now it's set to 0. So if I press the right mouse button, nothing's going to happen because I didn't call the custom event yet. But if everything was in place, it would just zoom in to 0, which I don't want. So manipulated target arm length. You're just getting this actually. So this could be a blueprint read only. You're never setting this, you're just going to get it. Unless you want to set it somewhere else. Actually, you could set this. If you were making like a story-based product or project, you might want to set this instead of getting it. So that the camera zooms out when you enter a new place and then it rotates and you look at like a rune or like the lion on top of like a mountain when you play your cutscene or whatever. So I'm not going to set it to blueprint read only, but if you set it to blueprint read only, that means it only gets the information. So what did I set the default target arm length to? It's 400. So I'm going to set this to 150 or 125. And I'm going to set the manipulated socket offset to 45 and 90. Actually, I'm going to keep it 45 and 45. And this is the camera zoom. Camera zoom. There we go. Okay. So zoom in, zoom out. Those are the functions or custom events. Same thing, right? So when I start it, zoom in, ongoing or canceled or completed, zoom out. Sorry about that. So this should work. I'm moving my mouse. Yep, there we go. And now you can clearly see that the textures are kind of fucked up. I'm gonna definitely email or send a support message to the creator to let him know about that. But this character is really good. And actually, I'm gonna call this go back. I'm gonna change this socket offset, not the Z value, but the Y value to 0. So that you can just look at the character's face. Or look how, the character itself, yeah. This character looks really good, damn. But the textures are ruined. But yeah, this character is good. Okay. Go back to the character. Like I said, this is going to be a completely unedited video, so. There we go. That's why. There we go. Delete. I'm going to add. Yeah, that's not there. Is it still the same texture? Yeah, still the same texture. So I'm just going to Control Z what I just did. Hopefully you can separate the pistol. You can't separate the... Yeah, you can. You can separate the pistol. This way you can equip the pistol. Pretty cool. See what else. Yeah. Oh, alright. Alright, I'm sorry for the long detour, but now we're going to set up the animation blueprint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the mesh, click this browser button, create animation blueprint. Bane underscore anim BP. This is the animation blueprint. I'm gonna click that. Compile, save. Before we add the logic, I think it's best to just create a control rig. So I'm gonna go to rigs. I think it's IK rig, not control rig, IK rig. Yeah, they made this very complicated. Alright. The best way to do this is to go to the third person, go to the blueprints, no, go to maps, no, go to characters, go to UE4, go to rigs. There we go. IK UE4 mannequin. Perfect. Alright. So I'm just gonna copy this twice. So Bane underscore rig movement pro rig. Right. So all the folders or all the blueprints or whatever these things are, I'm going to just leave out here. Everything that I created, I'm gonna leave out here. So Bane rig. It's very simple. Just go to Bane, select the mesh, and replace this with that. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I can't retarget it. I must have changed this. And then I'm gonna go to the movement anim set pro. I'm gonna find the mesh. There we go. Movement pro, perfect. I think I renamed this. I think it's normally the UE4 skeleton, but I think I renamed it. So I'm gonna go back to movement pro right here. I'm gonna exit everything out so I don't confuse myself. Movement pro, mesh, right here, movement pro. There we go. Save. Good. Everything's working as intended. Animation. Retargeting. IK retargeter. Movement pro RTG. Movement pro retargeter. The source is movement pro. And I'm targeting to here. And then we're gonna go to chain mapping. Yep. Everything should be duplicated. Right arm, yep. Cool. Because we just copied and paste. Because why work harder when you have to? Preview scene. Alright. So, root. They must have fixed that. Normally there's like a global. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. Translation mode globally scaled so that root motion works. And as you can see, the animations are already replicated. Yeah. And this is how you would do it for every single everything. You would just copy and paste. Just copy the UE4 rig and then copy another rig. Just copy it twice and then just select the skeletal mesh so that it easily duplicates. I'm just gonna copy everything. Export selected meshes. I'm gonna create a new folder. Retargeted random. Export. This might take a while. There's no editing, so I'm sorry for the pauses and awkwardness, but it's a lot easier to follow if it's completely unedited. Even if I make mistakes, it's just easier to follow. This might take a while, actually. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. I'll be back. All right, cool. I'm gonna set this color just separate it so I can easily identify it. There we go, white. So these are imported. I always set this to white for some reason. RGB. I can even, realistically, I could just put these into this folder if I wanted to. But I'm not gonna do that right now. So the retargeting is done. The next step is to put it all together. Let me think. Do we want to do the animations first, or should we? I don't know. There we go. Should we add the logic? I guess I'll add the logic first. So this is why you add the animation. I mean the Paragon asset. So you can just copy and paste. Go to event graph, and then just copy all this, and that's it. That's all we need it for, just to copy it. And then I'm going to create a new function. I'm going to call it character logic. And I'm going to delete everything I don't need. I know I don't need this already because I've done this so many times. I don't need the notifies, and I don't need set as full body. That's for animation notifies and curves, in case you're using well, it's relative to the way they used to do things. They used to use like curves to set acceleration and everything like that, but now they actually invented a new method, which I'm gonna go over once I understand it myself. It's distance matching, and it looks real easy. It looks like they just simplified it to the max, but looks like they just simplified it to the max. The new distance matching or distance motion or distance matching method. When I understand it, I'm gonna make a video about it as well. Right. So okay. Before I do that, I need to cast to the pawn itself to Bane. So event begin play. You only want to do this once. You don't want to do this every update. This is basically a tick, but on the animation blueprint. This is an event tick on the animation blueprint. And you could tell because if you print string, you'll see exactly how long it's, how often this yep, it's already showing you right here. It's an event tick. This happens every frame. You don't need to cast every frame. A lot of people actually mess that up. But yeah, cast to Bane from try get pawn owner. And then just create a variable. If that doesn't work, boom. Right? Set as failed. Delay. In case it fails, you want to delay it for 0.2 seconds and then you want to call this event again. So I'm going to create a custom event, which is a custom notification pin. Cast to begin to Bane, right? I call it cast to Bane. And then I'll call this here cast to Bane. So that I know for a fact it's always going to cast to Bane. I'll wait, and then I'll call this again cast. So this will basically repeat if it fails, so that no matter what, it's gonna always cast the Bane during the event begin play. Even if it fails, it's gonna cast. It's gonna keep casting. So Bane ref, get the variable we just created, convert to validated get. There you go. If it doesn't work, nullify it. If it's not valid, nullify it. If it is valid, create return value. Why did I do that? Because in the property access, now I can use Bane and I can get all the variables, all these variables, for instance, from the character itself using property access, like default target arm length. If I don't want to call default target arm length, I could just, actually I don't want to call default target arm length. I could just private it so that I can't call it from another blueprint. Yeah, well, should have updated, but it didn't. Let's see. Oh, whatever. Alright. So, is falling. Try get pawn owner is falling. Well, actually, you would try get pawn owner. Movement component is falling. There we go. Property access. I'm just gonna copy and paste this node multiple times. There we go. Alright. Give velocity. Base aim rotation and active rotation. Base aim rotation. Active rotation. Huh. I don't need that. Just active rotation. Just copy and paste. You know, it took me a while to understand a lot of programming really is just copying and pasting. This is the lead intensity, but this is get world delta seconds. I know that because I've done this multiple times. But if you copy the animation blueprint, you'll find that out very quickly. It's just get world delta seconds. So I'll call it delta seconds. And then I'm going to get delta seconds. There we go. From the variables. There we go. There we go. I could set a return if I wanted to. I probably should actually. I'll set a return. And I'm gonna make this a thread safe. I'm gonna blueprint thread safe. This is just the new way. I'm copying off the library blueprint basically. Before I would never do this. Before I would use the tick version, but according to the library blueprint, this is a more a better way to do it. So I'm just copying off of whatever they're telling me to do. Right. Okay. So back to the animation blueprint. Now normally during this time or during this section, I create lower body animations. So duplicate upper body animations, duplicate IK, and then I think that's it actually. Yeah, that's it. I might be missing a node, but I'll figure it out later. So I'm gonna delete all these tabs so that I can easily keep track of everything. Go back to the anim graph. I'm just gonna call these out. Lower body, upper body, IK. And this is the sequence, this is the order it usually goes in. Starts at lower body, and then we go to upper body, then we go to IK. So upper body, select, input, IK. There we go. Put lower body. Upper body. Then I should be able to easily connect these in. There we go. And then the last thing you do is inertialization. And I can't, this is like the hardest thing to explain. I can't really explain it, I have to show it. But I think this video is so long that I might be overdoing it by showing it. And now I'm just waiting for this asset to save all the animations, so. There we go. All right. So now, do I add the enums or do I... First of all, I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to collapse this node. I'm just going to call it camera. I'm going to change the color to whatever. Do I want to add the enums? I think I have to add the enums first. Even though this video is long, it's almost over. Another like 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll add the enums. So new folder, I'm gonna call it data. I'm gonna set it to blue because it's blueprint. There we go. So blueprint, enumeration, movement enums. Default, which is wall, or whatever you want the default to be. Run, sprint, crouch. And an enum is just an array or a list of variables. Or a list of names. It's a map. It's this is the name, and it's attached to like an integer. It's basically a map. It's a name and an integer. It's a mapping. It's a mapping. That's all it is. It's just a better way to control traffic than a Boolean. One thing you'll see is a lot of people, they'll select a Boolean. I'll call it ASD, and then I'll select another Boolean, and then They'll do another boolean. And what they'll do is they'll set, and set. Or they'll do this. They'll do this. Actually, instead of setting, they'll do this. They'll get. And then they'll do like a branch. Right? Actually, I'll show exactly what people will do. This is such a long video, I'm sorry. But my normal editing software is not working right now. So what they'll do is they'll do this, right? Then I'll just add the So what you'll see some people do is, and I'll just create a custom event just to showcase it. Right. So say I call this event, right, trying to get water. What people will do is they will say if the player is walking, but he's not running, and the player is not sprinting, then ... then call event. But a better way to do that is to just get an enum and switch off of enum.